In the icy streets of Stockholm, Sweden, a young boy named Erik Dahl was growing up in a world far removed from the glamorous cities of wealth and power. His family lived in a cramped apartment on the outskirts of the city, barely making ends meet. But Erik wasn't ordinary. From the moment he laid his hands on his father's discarded ancient computer, a spark ignited in him. By the age of 12, Erik was no longer just a curious kid, he was a prodigy. He taught himself coding, diving into the depths of programming languages that most adults couldn't understand. While other kids played outside, Erik stayed indoors, exploring the infinite possibilities of cyberspace. He discovered online forums where hackers shared secrets, and there, he adopted his alias, the Shadow Wolf. By the age of 16, Erik was performing digital tricks that baffled even seasoned coders. His talents extended far beyond what anyone thought possible. He started by hacking small systems to expose vulnerabilities, targeting unethical corporations. His early exploits made him a quiet hero in hacker forums, where his handle, Shadow Wolf, became synonymous with ingenuity and audacity. But as Erik's skills grew, so did his ambition. He began to see the internet not just as a tool for justice, but as a playground for power. His hacking escalated from exposing small businesses to infiltrating larger, more dangerous systems. By 18, Erik had breached an international financial institution's database, siphoning off $100,000 in Bitcoin without leaving a trace. It wasn't about the money yet. For Erik, it was about proving what he was capable of. Erik's rise took a darker turn when he was approached by members of the dark web, a shadowy underworld of criminal activity. They had been watching him and saw potential in his skills. At first, Erik hesitated. He wasn't a criminal. He was a genius trying to prove himself. But the allure of wealth and the power to outsmart entire governments became too tempting to resist. He began working with underground syndicates, creating custom malware and breaching cryptocurrency wallets for small payouts. His reputation skyrocketed. By the age of 22, Erik was not only a hacker, but a rising kingpin in the cyber underworld, trusted for his precision and his untraceable heists. By the time Erik turned 25, he had amassed a small fortune of $10 million in Bitcoin. But for Erik, it wasn't enough. He dreamed of executing a heist so massive it would cement his place in history. It wasn't just about the money. It was about being untouchable, invincible. That's when Erik set his sights on Valkyrie Coin, the most secure cryptocurrency exchange in Scandinavia. With billions of dollars flowing through its servers, Valkyrie Coin was considered impenetrable. Governments used it, billionaires trusted it, and Erik was determined to break it. To Erik, breaching Valkyrie Coin wasn't just a challenge, it was personal. He believed the system represented the very greed and corruption he had despised as a child. Taking them down would prove that no system, no matter how fortified, was beyond his reach. Erik didn't jump into Valkyrie Coin unprepared. Over the course of 18 months, he meticulously planned the operation. He recruited a team of the best hackers, coders, and social engineers in the world, offering them a cut of the spoils. He also targeted the company's weakest link, its employees. Using fake identities, Erik infiltrated Valkyrie Coin's staff through phishing scams, manipulating key insiders to unknowingly aid his cause. By the end of the first year, Erik had built custom malware capable of breaching the exchange's military-grade encryption. His plan wasn't just to steal money. It was to cripple the exchange's reputation while making off with $1 billion in cryptocurrency. As the heist grew closer, Erik's paranoia began to surface. He knew that governments like Sweden's and international agencies like Europol were starting to take notice of his activities. Erik had always been one step ahead, but the stakes had never been higher. One wrong move, and his life of luxury and power would come crashing down. Still, Erik pressed forward. He believed that brilliance could outpace law enforcement, that his mind was faster than any system they could build. As he stared at the blinking lines of code on his screen, Erik knew one thing for sure: failure was not an option. The stormy December night was the perfect cover for Erik Dahl's audacious plan. The world of cryptocurrency was buzzing with high-value transactions, and Valkyrie Coin's servers were working overtime. For Eric, it was the moment he had meticulously prepared for over 18 months. With every keystroke, he was about to execute the most daring heist in history. Sitting in a dimly lit apartment in Stockholm, surrounded by multiple screens, Eric felt the familiar adrenaline rush that came with high-stakes hacking. Phase 1 initiated. Eric typed into his secure chat. His team, spread across multiple continents, responded instantly. Each person had their role, one monitoring the company's firewalls, another diverting attention with a large-scale DDoS attack, and Eric himself launching his custom malware into Valkyrie Coin's impenetrable system. The chaos began almost immediately. Employees at Valkyrie Coin scrambled to deal with the apparent cyber attack. Alerts blared through their system, emails flooded inboxes, and IT teams were overwhelmed. But unbeknownst to them, the DDoS attack was merely a distraction. Eric's malware worked quietly in the background, bypassing the company's encryption and opening doors to their hidden reserves. The heist wasn't just about brute force. It was about psychological manipulation. Eric had spent months planting seeds of doubt in the minds of key employees, sending them phishing emails disguised as routine communications. One by one, they clicked, unwittingly granting him access to critical backdoors in the system. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the transfer began. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies worth a staggering $1 billion flowed into Eric's untraceable wallets. The transfer was seamless, but the tension in Eric's apartment was palpable. His heart raced as he monitored every step, ensuring no anomalies could alert the exchange before it was too late. Transfer complete flashed on his screen. Eric leaned back in his chair, exhaling deeply. He had done it. He had just pulled off the largest cryptocurrency heist in history, but Eric wasn't done. To solidify his legend and divert attention from himself, he orchestrated a final twist. Within hours, he returned 30% of the stolen funds to smaller investors affected by past fraud scandals. Media outlets quickly dubbed him a modern Robin Hood, painting him as a vigilante rather than a criminal. Eric's carefully crafted narrative began to unfold, and public opinion shifted in his favor. However, Eric's celebration was short-lived. As dawn broke over Stockholm, reports of the heist dominated global headlines. Governments, corporations, and even individuals who trusted Valkyrie Coin were in an uproar. Europol and the FBI wasted no time forming a special task force to track down the hacker behind the billion-dollar theft. Eric knew they would come for him. Sitting in his apartment, surrounded by the glow of his screens, he typed a single line of code to activate his self-destruct protocol. Within seconds, his malware erased every trace of itself from Valkyrie Coin's servers. His digital fingerprints vanished, leaving investigators grasping at shadows. But Eric wasn't naive. He knew the world's most powerful agencies would stop at nothing to find him. His safe house in Stockholm was no longer safe, and every move he made would have to be calculated. Eric sent a final message to his team. "We've won the battle, but the war begins now." If you're hooked on this story and want to know what happens next, hit subscribe now and stay tuned for the dramatic chase that will leave you on the edge of your seat. You don't want to miss how this story unfolds. Eric Dahl, the Scandinavian hacker who had stolen $1 billion in cryptocurrency, was living like a ghost. If this story had you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. We bring you the most gripping crime stories, filled with twists, suspense, and unforgettable characters. With the world's most powerful law enforcement agencies hunting him, Eric moved from one safe house to another, constantly changing locations to avoid detection. His stolen fortune had brought him luxury and security, but it also brought paranoia. Every shadow felt like an agent, every sound like a knock on the door. In the weeks following the heist, Europol and the FBI made significant progress. Using data from compromised Valkyrie Coin employees, investigators began piecing together Eric's operations. But the real breakthrough came from Eric's inner circle. With the world's most powerful law enforcement agencies hunting him, Eric moved from one safe house to another, constantly changing locations to avoid detection. His stolen fortune had bought him luxury and security, but it also brought paranoia. Every shadow felt like an agent, every sound like a knock on the door. One of his closest allies, a former cyber security officer named Jonas Lindholm, was arrested during a routine checkpoint in Finland. Jonas, fearing a life sentence, cracked under pressure. He provided authorities with critical information about Eric's safe houses and digital network. Europol and the FBI used this intel to track Eric's movements and uncover his elaborate web of fake identities. Eric, unaware of the betrayal, continued to operate with confidence. But cracks in his network began to show. Authorities intercepted encrypted communications between Eric and his team, leading to multiple raids on his hideouts in Oslo, Copenhagen, and Berlin. Each time, Eric managed to evade capture, but the noose was tightening. The final blow came when Europol leaked false information about a major cryptocurrency meetup in Amsterdam, designed to lure Eric out of hiding. Believing it to be a safe opportunity to recruit new talent, Eric decided to attend. But when he arrived, he sensed something was wrong. Undercover agents surrounded the venue, their eyes scanning for him. Eric attempted to leave quietly, but it was too late. As he exited through a back alley, a swarm of agents descended on him. Eric tried to escape, darting through the crowded streets, but a drone tracked his every move. Cornered and out of options, Eric was tackled to the ground and arrested. As agents cuffed him, he muttered, "I underestimated you." Eric's capture was celebrated worldwide. News outlets hailed it as one of the greatest victories in cybercrime history. But while Eric was in custody, investigators uncovered a chilling truth. He had one final trick up his sleeve. Eric Dahl's trial became the most high-profile cybercrime case in European history. The courtroom was packed with reporters, government officials, and cybersecurity experts eager to witness the fall of the man known as the Shadow Wolf. Prosecutors presented a mountain of evidence detailing how Eric had exploited vulnerabilities, manipulated employees, and orchestrated the largest cryptocurrency theft in history. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Eric remained defiant. In his testimony, he claimed he was not a criminal but a revolutionary. "I didn't steal from the poor," he said. "I exposed a system built on greed and corruption." His words sparked heated debates, with some labeling him a hero and others condemning him as a dangerous criminal. The trial lasted for months, during which Eric's actions were dissected and analyzed. Witnesses, including members of his inner circle, testified against him, revealing the extent of his operations. Eric's calm demeanor throughout the proceedings unnerved even the most seasoned prosecutors. In the end, the court handed down a life sentence. Eric was sent to a maximum security prison in Norway, where he was kept under constant surveillance. His access to technology was strictly prohibited, ensuring he could never use his skills to orchestrate another crime. But Eric's story didn't end there. His legend continued to grow, particularly in the hacker community. To some, he was a visionary who had outsmarted the system. To others, he was a cautionary tale of how power and greed can lead to downfall. From his prison cell, Eric spent his days in solitude, sketching lines of code on scraps of paper. Rumors began to circulate that the Shadow Wolf was still active, directing cyber attacks from behind bars. Whether these claims were true or just part of his myth, one thing was certain. Eric Dahl had left an indelible mark on the world of cybercrime. If this story had you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. We bring you the most gripping crime stories, filled with twists, suspense, and unforgettable characters. Don't miss the next chapter in the world of true crime.